Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we keep going with our 2020 offseason with our fall-off players for 2020. So we each came up with 5 players who, we think are going to fall off from what their totals were this season, where they finished in the season, or just for whatever reason. This list, a lot of times when you think of this, Jeff, like we've done it the last couple of years. I always feel like this is going to be easy. I'm going to find guys up there that I know for sure are just going to drop off, and it wasn't necessarily that this year. I like my picks, I think, but I'm not going to, if they repeat and became good again, I wouldn't be shocked. But these are ones that I guess I feel the most confidence in on falling off. There's some kind of question mark there. Actually, one of them I'm kind of just, at least one or two of them I'm kind of just guessing, I think. But it's based on some logic, I think. I don't know. How'd you come up with yours?
Yeah, it's going to be a rough list. I'm not going to lie to you. I think doing this early is going to be fun to figure out whether or not we are right or wrong. But I'm actually very interested to hear what you have to say because, yeah, I think I make some good points. But at the same time, I don't think I went too far off the reservation in order to make this list because, everything is fresh still. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
You know what? Actually, before we'll see. I'm going to see if I can find last year's list. I'm curious if I have it out there. Because, here we go. We'll see what we picked last year and how this worked out for us, okay?
Dear Lord.
This is always where you look at it and you're like, were we any good?
We did it so early.
We did this last year, January 17th. So same time.
Why do we do it so early?
I know. So here we go. My number 1 was Eric Ebron. I like that. That was,
worked out well.
He wasn't good. Your number 1 was James White, and he definitely, I think, dropped off from where he was, didn't he?
Yeah, he dropped down, but, didn't fall off the map.
He was fine, but he wasn't really, I feel like he wasn't terribly fantasy relevant this year.
No. He definitely hit a high note that year. He was very, very good. I think he was in the top 10 for a very long time.
My next was Ben Roethlisberger. It's hard to give myself that one, but
spot on though.
Right. Your second was Robert Woods, which
actually, yeah. You know what? I'd give myself that one. He was still relevant and playable, and both of these I'm not going to go huge on, but I'm not incorrect yet.
Let's see here. My number 3 was James White. Okay, so your number 3 was Matt Ryan, and I think he wasn't as high as last year.
Yeah, where did he end up? Well, he was still he like 12th or something like that.
He
finished 4th last year.
I think you're good on that. I think that's pretty solid.
in QB speak.
Yeah,
I haven't hit one out of the park yet. But
it was Matt Ryan's every other year thing. Like he does.
I wasn't wrong on that.
Number 4, we both had Adrian Peterson. So
okay, yeah.
That he finished 28th. I guess he didn't use him in fantasy. I'd say, that's all 16 games. He didn't really do much. And then number 5, I had Tyler Lockett, who he had games where he was good.
Yeah,
he had down. Others where he wasn't. But he finished 15th, so it's not really a fall off. But it's not as high as he was last year. It's not like I'm not going to. That was a great call, but it wasn't a bad call.
No, it wasn't a bad call.
And then you had Ebron. So,
look at that. Well, you had Ebron and Roethlisberger, and with injury,
none of our players
tip my hat. Got to give it to you.
None of our players went higher than they were the year before.
Yeah.
No one jumped up. So not a bad list last year. But all right, let's get into this list. I don't know where you're gonna go, so let's start off with your, I guess, number 5.
All right, number 5. I'm starting with the guy that I still think he's going to be pretty good, but I don't think he's going to touch where he finished this year, and I'm going with Chris Godwin.
Okay.
I like the talent, all of that, but if you look at the numbers that he posted this year, they were gaudy. He went over 1,300 yards. I think he had 9 touchdowns, and they were throwing the ball relentlessly, I just don't see that occurring again. They were able to not only have Chris Godwin finish number 2, but Mike Evans finish number 8. So it just shows you how much they, threw the ball. Eventually, they'll have to learn how to run it one way or another. Jameis Winston will probably be there for one more season to see what happens. I have, I'll probably talk about Jameis, wink, wink, a little bit later in this episode, but I don't see Chris Godwin quite hitting the stride he did because he came out of the gates just on fire. I mean, the only guy that did better than him was Michael Thomas. And unless you talk about him, he was, very different players. And so, I don't know. Chris Godwin just exceeded expectations this year. I don't think he's going to be in the top 10 next year.
There's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to agree with you here. Mm-hmm. So I'm pulling up. I just pulled up Fantasy Pros. They did a little five of their writers did their 2020 ranks already. Just throwing them out there, and they have Godwin 6th and Mike Evans 7th. Okay. So I'm still not there with Godwin ahead of Evans. I'm just not. But Godwin, where did he end up finishing this year? It was
number 2.
Yeah. See, I can't see that. I think he's gonna. I've liked Chris Godwin since his rookie year. I like Chris Godwin. I just think Chris Godwin, for some reason, people just think he's better than Mike Evans now. And he's not, I don't believe. It just doesn't feel that way to me. And that offense they threw the ball a lot. And something I feel is going to change there because, can't get away with that throwing the ball like they did this year, 30 picks. It's hard to repeat that. So second is going to be pretty lofty. He's going to be, and you know what? Even putting him in the ranks at 6, the guys below him, Mike Evans. I'm going to pick Evans over Godwin. Amari Cooper.
We'll see what happens in Dallas, but
Kenny Galladay. I think I want Galladay.
Oh, I take Galladay. Galladay finished number 3 without Stafford.
Yeah, there's other guys down here which are would be interesting, but Godwin, that was relatively high this year. I think people are going to fight you on this one though. We'll see.
They are, and I get it. He's very good. I put him in number 5 because I don't want the full weight of the hate.
So I'll say my number 5. I think this is another guy who people seem to like a little bit here towards the end of the year and think it's just a sure thing. But I went Devontae Parker. How can you? There's no way he can repeat that. 6th or whatever he finished? It's just if I don't know if Fitzpatrick's going to be back. If he's not, there's no way Josh Rosen can do this with Parker. Preston Williams will be back. It wasn't, to me, Parker was good, but I wouldn't even say he's great. He was boosted by 2 games of 2 touchdowns, a couple big games there, but I'm just not sold on him. I'm just not. This team was out of it. They just threw the ball around. They had no running game whatsoever. They just had to toss it up to the only healthy guy they had out there. I like Parker, but I don't like him to finish top 10 again. He's going to be down there. Hard to believe, hard for me to even have him in my top 20. Honest, he's going to be back end top 20, if anything. I'm not buying it. Probably he's going to be around 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there maybe on my ranks.
Yeah, and I completely echo everything you're saying. He actually showed up. He was number 1 on my list.
Okay, yeah. It's just, it can't be repeated, can it?
I don't believe so. And Miami is going to be going through a lot of growing pains. They were an awful, awful, awful team. They showed, Devontae Parker, Gesicki, you can see they do have some young talent, but they really do have to figure out what they're going to do at QB. Fitzpatrick is getting up there in age. They're going to eventually trot out probably a young guy next year at some point. And even if I do think that whoever that individual would be, I do think that he is probably going to be pretty good, but rookie QBs, not too many of them come out of the door just, rocking and rolling. On top of that, Devontae Parker, this is the first year he's ever broken out. And that is great for him. He does have a lot of athleticism. He does have a lot of talent. We've always wanted to see it. But I think you pair his newly gained skills, if you will, along with a team that is still got to figure out what the heck is going on. I think you're going to end up finding that he's going to fall back to where we kind of expect him to be. And you were talking about too, like propped up at the end of the year. From week 11 on, he was absolutely on fire. Absolutely killing it. He had 4 games over 100 yards. He had, 5 touchdowns. That's just one heck of a stretch. And, if Fitzpatrick is there, maybe he has a chance to kind of repeat some of that. But they're going to have to they're going to have to do a lot of the things that bad teams just don't do. So Devontae Parker, he number 1.
Well, let's say Parker and Godwin, they're similar in the fact that both of those offenses couldn't run the ball. And they can't keep doing that, right? If you want to be good, you can't completely neglect the run. So both those teams, I think, are going to have to try to run the ball a little bit more. So that was your number one. I guess I'll do another one here. I'll do my number 4 then, because you already got 2 off the board. And I went with Austin Eckler here. And was he top 10 this year at running back in standard? And
yeah,
it depends a lot.
He finished at number 7.
Okay, yeah, and if Melvin Gordon's back, there's no way. Even if Gordon's not back, I don't see Austin Eckler as people are just going to slot him in if Gordon left. And that's not the case. Austin Eckler is not a number 1 running back. He's a complimentary back, and that's what he'll be. He'll be a good one. He'll be a very good one, but he's going to be overvalued, I believe. I'm already looking at him being ranked 13th here in one of these ranks. He's 13th. Melvin Gordon's 17th. And this is standard. I'm just not there. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. He's a solid player, but for the value you're getting him, it's just not worth it, and he's going to fall off from what he did.
I think we're just going in reverse order because he's my number 2.
Nice.
So, yeah, my number 2. Once again, I do believe that I like him, and I feel bad making this list, honestly, because all these people I'm talking about, I really do like, and I'm glad that they did so well. 100% agree with you on Gordon. We don't know what's going to happen. It's too early in the season. Maybe he goes somewhere else. Maybe they trade him, whatever. A lot of that could change. But as it stands right now, Eckler is not going to be someone that I draft high because it's going to be, way too high of a value. I think he does kind of remind me of a James White from last year where the game plan matched his skill set and there wasn't anyone else there that can take touches away, at least early on in the season. I think White went from top 10 to, holding on to being in the top 30, maybe 29th. I feel a very similar fate for Eckler if it keeps going this way.
Yep. I agree with that. That seems a good comparison on what it can be. He's a good player, but he's getting propped up a little too much. I'm not gonna buy it. All right, so let's see here. So that's your number 1 and 2. My number 4 and 5. So I'm gonna go to my your number 4.
Yeah,
right?
I'll go my number 4. Okay, and people are gonna say I mailed this one in a little bit. But I really like the talent. I just don't like where he it's just way too crowded of a backfield. I'm going with Raheem Mostert. And I know people are going to be like, what the heck? Like, how is he going to fall off, right? I'm sure that's what everyone is thinking at the moment. But Raheem Mostert, even for the way that they had that 3-headed beast and they ran a lot, he finished 20th when he was supposed to be the 3rd running back. So I think next year, when everyone recovers injury-wise, I think that they start throwing it a little more with Garoppolo. With Garoppolo, I really like the talent that they're developing there around the wide receivers. You have Kittle, who kind of took a back seat a little bit this year. The run game is still going to be strong, but if you don't have this ridiculous, in the last 6 games, he scored 7 touchdowns. I realize that he could be the goal line back, but they have so much talent and so many different ways to score that I think that is not something I can bank on. So I think that he could go from number 20, where he was very playable, especially the last half of the year, and he could turn into he could disappear. It very well could be just the Breida show and the Tevin Coleman show. You never really know with the 49ers, but that's why I put Mostert at number 4.
Yeah, I agree that team, who knows who they're going to use week to week anyway. But I'm looking at some early ranks here again, and on them they have Mostert at 25 right now, which to me is still a little high because the players below him. Would you rather have David Montgomery? I think I would. Montgomery's a sure thing. He's a number 1 yet, even for next year. Not great, but
yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but I would take Montgomery for the upside rather than Mostert.
And
at this point.
He's 1 spot behind Mostert. 2 spots behind him is Devontae Freeman, who I feel like.
Why in the world is he ranked so low right now?
He is. He's down there. Sony Michel below him at 29. I still like Darius Geis. He's 32. Man, I'm going to be getting Darius Geis in a lot of leagues. I want Geis over Mostert. It's going to be wonderful. I'm going to have a lot of Darius Geis next year.
Where do they have Devin Singletary right now?
22 on this rank. So He's 22, spot behind Marlon Mack, spot behind Kerryon Johnson.
Actually, where's Drake?
Drake. Let's see.
Some of the guys that I can't really forecast.
16th.
Okay. All right. I thought maybe he would get the hype and he would go higher.
And they got Todd Gurley at 15. Man, we're going to get Todd Gurley for some value next year.
Okay.
Todd Gurley is your RB2. That's awesome.
I love it. I mean, he was a high-end RB2 this year, and we thought he sucked.
Yeah, Todd Gurley, 2 spots behind Austin Eckler.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll take him.
Yep.
All right, you got Mostert at 4. You only have one player left. So
one player left. So
let's go to my number 3. And this is the first name on my list that people could not agree with me, and I see why. And there's reasons for this. It's not necessarily the talent of the player. The talent of the player he's phenomenal. He's great. But it's Zach Ertz. And
actually, no, damn it. I love that pick.
It's honestly more of a Dallas Goedert thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure Dallas Goedert's not as good as Zach Ertz. I don't know if I watched a lot of Eagles games for some reason, and probably because I had Ertz on my team, so I was watching it a lot. I can't tell the difference between the guys half the time. Goddard looks just as good to me. I think he is, and I think they're going to keep using him, and they want to see what they have in Goddard because, you have to use that guy. He's going to be good. And Ertz still finished 5th this past year. Goddard was 10th, and I felt like that usage was going up for Goddard. And Ertz was banged up a bit, but that could continue. And I think Goddard's going to – I just have a feeling Dallas Goedert is going to finish ahead of Ertz next year. I might not rank it that way, but I have a really good feeling that could happen. And I'm going to have Ertz fall off a bit here.
I really, really love that pick. And everyone knows how much I adore Goddard. I really do think that he is going to be the next big thing as far as tight ends go. Zach Ertz, I like it because it's a ballsy call, right? No one really expects Ertz, unless he gets hurt, to completely fall off the map. Yep. But I like the fact that you said I wouldn't be surprised if Goddard flipped with him. And people will look at that and be like, oh, Ertz finished 5th. Like, you really think he's going to fall off too much more? But, Ertz has been a perennial top 3 tight end. So I think that is a very good pick, even if it's not as drastic as some of the other ones. I love that one.
Yep. All right. Let's, that was my number 3. So let's do your final one before my final 2 here. This is it for you. Number 3.
I don't think anyone's going to really fight me on this one too much, but I think my number 3 is he was actually also the 3rd QB overall, and that was Jameis Winston. So, yes. Is he a lot of fun to watch? Does he throw the ball a ton? Yes. This was definitely by far the highest he's ever gone because they just let him throw and throw and throw and throw. Even to the detriment of the team, right? You can't throw 30 picks and expect to win. So there's one of 2 things that can happen, and I'm guessing number 2. Either he continues the way he's doing here, and they pretty much throw away next year, even though that's another year off of Mike Evans and Godwin and all these other talented wide receivers and players they have, O.J. Howard. Or they try to get Jameis Winston to play NFL football where they try to restrict him. And we've seen how this happens in the past. Yes, he will throw less interceptions, but it kills his touchdown production as well. So I just don't see any way that Jameis Winston, and it's part of the reason I believe Godwin will go down too, because I do not believe that they can throw the ball like they did this year. And they want to win. You're going to have to try to take it out of Jameis Winston's hands a little bit. He's a playmaker, absolutely. But he's also not the guy you want with the ball when, time is coming down and if a turnover ends the game. He's definitely not the QB you want. So I think they try to restrict him. I think it goes poorly for his touchdown production. And I think that he drops more to where we're used to seeing him, where it'll be more like, 13th to 15th. And that's if he doesn't get hurt or something.
I didn't put a QB on my list, but if I did, it probably would have been Jameis. He's ahead of this year Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Patrick Mahomes. He's going to finish behind all those next year. I think he's going to finish behind Kyler Murray next year. I think he'll finish behind Josh Allen next year, those kind of guys. Carson Wentz even probably can beat him out if Carson Wentz actually has some receivers to throw the ball to.
You didn't even mention Aaron Rodgers.
And Rodgers, Rodgers as well.
Matt Ryan, if he decides to turn it on. There's a lot. Tannehill, if he's with Tennessee and does what he did last year, he would be above him. So
yep.
I mean, that alone, not to mention he had a very good year as far as, fantasy goes.
Even a full year of Drew Brees, he missed time
Drew
this year.
Brees
We'll
as
see.
well. Yeah.
Even though he'll be like 41, he still, I think, has another, he has some more in him. So, all right, that's it for your list then.
Yeah.
Parker, Eckler, Winston, Mostert, Godwin.
Yeah. So what about you? Who's number two?
My final two here. We'll go to my number two, and I'm going Julian Edelman. And I don't know. I just feel like it's done. I feel like it's over. I don't know. I'm having no part of Julian Edelman next year. I'm telling you, there's too much uncertainty in New England, and I don't know if Brady. I'm not going to call him washed, but he's close. He's not quite the same. And Edelman, let's see, finished 13th this year. Man, I'm going to be ranking him like 25 to 30. I'm just not. I'm not on board for Julian Edelman next year, and I just think it's going to. Part of it, maybe N'Keal Harry steps up. Maybe they get somebody else step up a little bit, but they can't go on with Edelman being that number one target like that again and trying to have any kind of passing offense because it just did not work at all for them. So Edelman, he's going to drop off 10, 15 spots for me.
Edelman was on my short list in order to do it, and I like the points you made. I mean, 13th was actually the highest he's ever finished, right?
Yeah.
19th was the highest before that. In 2018, the year before this, he was 23rd, even though he missed 4 games, so he was having another one. I mirror a lot of the things you're talking about, right? So if they finally add, they try to add another receiver, another target, and they tried with multiple people this year, and it did not work out. So he had to catch a lot of balls. Even the run game wasn't quite as good. That defense was phenomenal, luckily. So that actually helped his production a little bit as far as, being able to throw those mid routes and control clock and do all those things that Edelman is absolutely wonderful at. My worry is what you said about Brady. I don't think that he's washed up, but I do think that you saw a decrease in arm strength. And if they don't add a wide receiver that can immediately come in and produce for them, especially a deep threat of some sort, I see Brady doing the little mid routes, dumping it off, and Edelman is excellent at that. So I didn't put him on here just because maybe he has one more year of Tom Brady and him just being the perfect, fit for one another at their age.
Yeah, Tom, I don't know. Brady's going to be 43 years old. That's unreal.
I know.
Still, we'll see if he's on the team. We'll see how it goes.
They did win a lot of games, though.
Yeah. And I still think he's going to be back. I think this whole thing of him not returning, I just don't think it's a thing. You know what I mean? Brady with the Patriots, right? It's going to have to happen.
Well, I want to know, who in the world would they bring in if they didn't have Brady? I mean,
they're going to have to. They're going to have to run it back again. But all right, that's my number 2. And I guess I'm going to go with my number 1 here, and it's going to be Mark Ingram, my number 1.
Really?
Yeah. He finished 8th this year, and as much as I was, Mark Ingram fan, I knew it would work out this year. It had all the makings of something that's just going to work out and play and be well. He's 30 years old now, and he doesn't seem to me, I don't know. I feel something. He's just not going. It's not going to quite work out. And there was a lot of games this year where towards the end of the season, he wasn't necessarily, really lighting the world on fire. He boosted his stats with receiving touchdowns in the last part of the season. He had no receiving touchdowns games 1 through 10. Nothing. Not a single one. And then his final 6 regular season games, he had 5 receiving touchdowns in those last 6 games. I think I feel that's fluky. I don't know why, because he didn't have a lot of catches. So he had, against Houston, he had 3 catches, 2 of them for touchdowns. Against the Rams, 1 catch, it was a touchdown. Then he had 2 catches against San Francisco, no touchdowns. 3 catches against Buffalo, no touchdowns. Against the Jets, 1 catch, 1 touchdown. Against Cleveland, 2 catches, 1 touchdown. That's a lot of touchdowns. That ratio can't stay the same. He's not getting a lot of catches. And that is really what boosted him to be 8th on the season, because these last games there, the last let's see here. Let's go the last 7 games, right? Actually, a lot of these games. 55 yards, 76, 50, 59. He had a 111, then a 48, 34, 115, so he boosted up there. 46, 52, 44. That's not great yardage either. It was a lot of this is boosted by those receiving touchdowns at the end. And then the beginning of the season, game 1, 14 carries, 107, 2 touchdowns. Game 3, 16 carries, 103 yards, 3 touchdowns. That is what boosts his season. I can see myself ranking him about 20th next year. And I think that's a good spot for him. I can see more Justice Hill. I can see more Gus Edwards. So Ingram's going down.
Yeah, I don't really hate your reasoning. I think that I don't know. I don't see his carries going down, but I get your touchdown production. I mean, it was high. So maybe I think 20th is aggressive, but at the same time, yeah, I get your point. I don't hate that pick. I was kind of surprised to hear it just because I know how much you loved Ingram going into the year. But I mean, it is very true. Yeah.
I think I'm just not going to be, the value's not going to be there like it was either. I'm, trying to look at this fantasy perspective, right. But and even that point, he's just going to not be on my radar really. It's just going to be too overvalued. And, it was a good 1 year run. He was a good pickup for this year. Won't be the same for next year.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, he's been a good pickup for, years prior to that too in New Orleans, But
all right, that's it for fall-off players. But I think we have to end the episode with point spreads again. This week's point spread picks are once again brought to you by MyBookie.com. Make sure you go to MyBookie.com, use that promo code PROPHET, PROPHET. Get you hooked up for this weekend's NFL games. We got Packers, Niners. We have Chiefs and Titans, so go bet on those 2 games. Get in on the action on that. It's always a good time to do that. We got some UFC, got Conor McGregor. Check that out. Also, there's always NBA every night. We got college football is now wrapped up, but college basketball is gearing up, getting closer and closer. A month and a half away till March, so you're going to get in on that. Get in on March Madness. Get yourself set up. You don't want to miss out on any of the action, so go over there. Once again, go to MyBookie.com. Use that promo code PROPHET, PROPHET. Get yourself set up for all of the games. Do some point spread picks here before we finish it off.
Do we have to? I'm getting murdered in the playoffs.
So you actually went, I think you went 2-2 last week, I believe.
I'm 500, but I feel like I should be doing better in the playoffs.
And I went 1-3. So after I followed up my 4-0 with a 1-3.
I'm only a game behind.
I'm 5-3. You're 4-4. So if we combined it for the regular season, we're dead even. Jeez. But you got 2 games this weekend, and they're actually, for championship games, they're pretty big point spreads. I would say. So first up, it's Tennessee at Kansas City. Kansas City 7-point favorites at home. I'm going to go Chiefs. I think they're the way they came back in that game, the way they played that offense, even though Tennessee feels like there's just something, I don't know, to them. I'm still going to go Kansas City.
Yeah, I really love watching Tennessee, and every time I say I'm rooting for them, but I'm picking the other way, and both times in a row it's bitten me. But I can't get off this wagon now. I have to go against them. I have to go Chiefs. I hope they win once again, but this is my way to help them out. It's a little bit of good luck.
Never thought you'd be cheering for the Tennessee Titans in the playoffs.
I really did not. Not since the days of Eddie George.
I mean, we could have been talking about this in like week 12, and we would have been like, "That's crazy." Tennessee Titans in the AFC Championship. That just 2 months ago, we would have been like, "That's you're nuts. It's never going to happen."
If they would have listened to me and got rid of Mariota first,
right
earlier.
That's true. All right, second game. Green Bay at San Francisco. San Francisco 7.5-point favorites at home. Big point spread here. 7.5. They're tough though. They look good. But 7.5 is a lot of points. I'm going Green Bay. I feel Green Bay. I feel this is kind of rigged. I think it's going to be Rodgers, Mahomes. It's going to be like the State Farm Bowl. If you watch the commercials, you got Mahomes and Rodgers on it'd be perfect for State Farm. They'd love it. I'm going Green Bay. I don't know if they'll. I have a feeling that's the QB matchup everyone wants. Rodgers, Mahomes. That's the matchup everyone really would like to see. I think. San Francisco, Tennessee feels boring to me.
Oh my gosh, I know. 49ers really put it to the Vikings.
They did. It's just it's a large point spread where
Yeah,
I'm not saying Green Bay is going to win this thing, but
right,
7.5.
7.5.
It's a half. It's 7.5 even. That's
I know, the worst part about every time in the playoffs, taking the larger spread does not always.
No. Well, and I guess if you look at the last time these two met, San Francisco just destroyed Green Bay earlier in the year. So
yeah, I'm man, I can't believe I'm not taking points on either of these. I'm going to go 49ers on this
just
one.
Going favorites here.
This is where I catch up to you in the playoffs.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for point spreads, I guess, and for this week's episode. I think next week, let's instead of talking about depressing things that players dropping off, I'm going to talk about some breakout players next week. I got a few in my mind as we're going through this episode and looking at the guys. I got a bunch on my mind. I got a bunch of guys that are going to jump up next year. So we'll go through all of that next week, but that'll do it for today. Talk to you guys next week.